Most people think the scariest place to be is deep in the woods, but sometimes the most terrifying thing is being completely alone in your home. Because if something is already inside, there's nowhere to run. I was home alone when I heard a door upstairs slowly creak open. The problem was, I was the only one in the house. It was a Friday night and my parents had gone out for dinner. They weren't going to be back until late, so I had the house to myself. At first, it felt great. I ordered food, put on a movie, and stretched out on the couch. The house was quiet. The kind of quiet you only notice when no one else is around. Around 10:30, I paused the movie to grab a drink from the kitchen. That's when I heard it. A faint sound from upstairs. At first, I ignored it. Old houses make noise all the time. Pipes, floorboards, things settling. But then I heard it again. A slow, dragging creak. Like wood moving under pressure. I stood still in the kitchen, listening. And then it clicked. That sound, it wasn't random. It was rhythmic, controlled. Like a door being pushed open, very slowly. I felt this sudden wave of unease because there was only one door upstairs that made that exact sound. My parents' bedroom door. I remember just standing there, staring at the ceiling, trying to convince myself it was nothing. Maybe I left a window open. Maybe it was the air pressure shifting. But deep down, I knew I hadn't. The house went quiet again. Too quiet. I walked back into the living room, but I couldn't focus on the TV anymore. Every few seconds, I glanced toward the stairs, waiting, listening, and then it happened again. Another creak, but longer this time, like the door had opened further. I muted the TV. Now the entire house felt different, like something had changed. I slowly stood up and looked toward the staircase. It was dark, the kind of darkness that swallows detail. I told myself I was being stupid, that nothing was actually there. But my body didn't believe it. I grabbed my phone, turned on the flashlight, and took a step toward the stairs. Then another. Each step felt heavier than the last. Halfway up, I stopped. I didn't want to go any further, but I couldn't just leave it. So I kept going. When I reached the top, I immediately looked toward my parents' room. The door was open, wide open. I froze because I was absolutely certain it had been closed earlier. The light was off inside, just darkness. I stood there for a few seconds, just listening. But there was nothing. No movement, no sound, just silence. I slowly stepped closer, shining my light into the room. The bed was empty. The windows were closed. Everything looked normal, except the door. I stepped inside, checked behind the door, in the closet, in the bathroom, but nothing. No one. I let out a breath I didn't even realize I was holding. And then I laughed a little at myself. I turned to leave the room, and the door behind me moved. Just slightly. A soft creak. I spun around, and the door was slowly closing on its own. I stared at it, heart pounding, and that's when I heard it. From behind me, inside the room, a soft shift, like someone moving their weight on the other side of the bed. I didn't turn around because I didn't want to see. I just ran down the stairs, out the front door, and didn't stop until I was halfway down the street. I called my parents, shaking, trying to explain. When we came back with them and checked the house, there was no one there. No signs of forced entry. Nothing missing. Nothing disturbed. But one thing still hasn't made sense to me. When we went back upstairs, the bedroom door was closed. I checked every room in the house, and I was completely alone. But something kept moving when I wasn't looking. This happened when I was 19. My parents had gone away for the weekend, and I had the house to myself. I remember feeling a little uneasy about it. Not scared exactly, just aware. The kind of feeling you get when everything is too quiet. The first night was fine. I locked all the doors, checked the windows, and stayed up late watching videos. Eventually, I went to bed around 1 a.m. Sometime in the night, I woke up. I don't know what woke me, but something felt off. The house was completely silent, and then I heard it. A soft thud downstairs. I froze, listening. A few seconds passed. There was nothing. So I told myself it was probably something falling. Maybe something in the kitchen shifted. But I couldn't shake the feeling. So I grabbed my phone and went to check. I walked slowly down the stairs, each step creaking under my weight. When I reached the bottom, I scanned the room. But everything looked normal. Kitchen was empty. The living room was empty. I checked the back door, locked. Front door, locked too. The windows were all closed. I even checked the closets, and there was nothing. I went back upstairs, feeling a little stupid. Got back into bed, and just as I was about to fall asleep, I heard it again, but this time closer. A soft movement right outside my room. I sat up instantly, staring at my bedroom door. It was slightly open, just a crack, and beyond it, darkness. I held my breath, listening, and then the door moved. Just a little, wider. I whispered, "Hello?" No response. But I knew something was there. I got out of bed slowly. Every instinct was telling me not to open that door. But I couldn't just sit there. I reached for it and pulled it open. The hallway was empty. Completely empty. I checked every room again. Nothing. But now, things felt different. Like I wasn't alone anymore. I went back into my room, closed the door, and locked it this time, and pushed my dresser in front of it. I didn't sleep at all that night. Every small noise, every shift in the house, it felt amplified. Morning finally came. Sunlight filled the house. Everything felt normal again. Safe. I told myself it was just my imagination. Until later that day, when I went downstairs and saw the back door unlocked, wide open. I heard my mum call my name from downstairs, but she wasn't home. I was 17 when this happened. It was a normal evening. My parents had gone out to visit friends, and I stayed home. I was upstairs in my room, playing games with headphones on. After a while, I took them off, and that's when I heard it. My name, clear as day, from downstairs. "Hey, can you come here for a second?" It was my mum's voice, exactly her voice. I remember responding without thinking, "Yeah, one sec." I stood up, walked to my door, and opened it. The hallway was dark, quiet. I walked to the top of the stairs. "Mum?" No response. I felt a small chill because I suddenly remembered she wasn't supposed to be home yet. I pulled out my phone, checked the time, checked messages. Nothing. I called her and she answered immediately. "Hey, what's up?" I asked. "Are you home?" She paused. "No, why?" My stomach dropped. I didn't say anything for a second. Then I just said, "I thought I heard you." She laughed it off, said I was probably just tired. But I knew what I heard. It wasn't distant. It wasn't unclear. It was right there, in the house. I stayed on the phone with her while I checked downstairs. Every room, Nothing. No one. But the entire time, I had this feeling, like something was just out of sight, watching, waiting. That night, I locked myself in my room, didn't turn the lights off, didn't sleep. And just before morning, right as I was starting to drift off, I heard it again. Soft, right outside my door, my name. Some people think being home alone is safe, but sometimes the scariest thing is realizing you were never alone to begin with.